This is what I have been waiting for, and a lot of you guys, for a long time. An affordable Pixel phone with decent specs. Hey guys, this is Shreyas and welcome back to another video. This is the Pixel 4a full review. So without any further delay, let's check that out. Let's dive right in. So let's begin with the build and the design. I feel the design is very good. I like black phones and this is a matte black plastic phone, so I really like it. The camera hump is not much. There is not much wobble when you put it on a table or something like that. The matte black texture with the stealthy grayed out Google logo is something I really like. The part at the bottom is also very symmetrical with two grills, although one is a microphone and the other one is the speaker grill with a USB Type-C port. On the top, you have the return of the legendary headphone jack. All the buttons are on the right side of the phone. The power button is unique. It doesn't have a texture, but it is in this light mint green, if I can call it. There are the volume rockers as well, and all these buttons are extremely tactile and clicky. So you have a fingerprint sensor in the back which is fairly responsive and very quick, I would say, and I had a lot of accidental unlocks because my finger generally rests over here. That's kind of about the physical overview of this phone. Now to come to the build, I would say that this is made of plastic, but it does not feel like cheap plastic because it's matte and the quality of the plastic is really good, and it's kind of a unibody. There are no seams and creases along the body, and that is something I really appreciate. There is one thing I would like all the Pixel 4a owners or potential buyers to keep in mind. Since this is a matte texture, there is a layer or a coating which tends to rub off. I use my phones without a skin or a case. I have not used a plastic phone since 2016, if I'm correct. So yeah, there is nothing very visible, but if I look closely, it has already gotten a lot of scuffs, although I use my phones very carefully. So I would definitely recommend you guys to get a case or a skin for your Pixel 4a. And talking about skins and cases, it shouldn't be a huge problem because this is a very compact phone. I won't call it tiny, but it is very compact and well made, and it is light as well. So adding a case will not add a lot of bulk and will not make it jut out of your pocket or anything like that. Coming to the weight, it is 143 grams and it is extremely light, and it's a very refreshing change for me coming from the OnePlus 8 Pro, which is around 186 grams or something like that, and it's a huge phone. So also on the front you get a 5.81 inch OLED screen. This is a 60 Hz panel only, but it's a very good quality OLED in my opinion. I did not face any problem. Watching stuff was a delight. Yes, the peak brightness does not go up to the level of the flagship phone does, but I feel it's good enough for a 30,000 rupee phone, and that's about it. Content consumption was really great on it. I do not have any complaints. Now I got a few questions on Twitter. By the way, if you're not following me, do follow me on Twitter. The links will be down in the description. So I got a few questions in Twitter about things like black crush or tinting and stuff like that. I did not see anything on my particular unit. Don't worry about all these things. I've made a dedicated video about how OLEDs are. A card should pop up right now and you can go and check that out if you want to know what I'm talking about. So this display is also HDR10 Plus certified, but I don't know how much of a difference I actually saw on this particular panel, probably because it does not get as bright as the flagships, because on HDR you probably need somewhere around 1000 nits of brightness. But anyway, it has that. So content consumption was pretty good, but coming to the media experience, I would like to say that the speakers help out a lot. This phone has stereo speaker setup. Now as I said, there are two grills on the bottom. One is absolutely just a microphone. The other one is the speaker, but the second speaker is up on the earpiece, and I would like to say that it's pretty good. I do not expect flagship level stereo speakers at the price point of 30,000, but for a 30,000 rupee phone, I would say the stereo speakers are really good. It is understandable. And I got another question on Twitter saying that when you're playing stuff at the highest volume, is there any rattling or vibration throughout the body? I would like to say that this is well built. There is nothing, that rattles throughout the phone in my opinion. Cool. Now coming to the audio, let's also talk about the microphone. Now one thing I want to keep inform is that when I was speaking to the Google Assistant mostly, I used to see that it was not responding a lot of times. What I realized is the primary microphone is left grill on the bottom of the phone. When I was holding it this way, it was covering it up and it could not listen to me. So that is something you might have to keep in mind. Call quality, I did not have any complaints. I used it with Airtel over voice over Wi-Fi. Call quality was excellent. Earpiece speaker grill was extremely loud and clear, which I did not really expect because it's such a small chassis. Coming to calls, I would also say that this phone only has one physical SIM, but you can add a second eSIM. Coming to the slots, there is no expandable memory. This comes with a standard 128 GB of storage and 6 GB of RAM only. Alright, so let's talk about the battery and charging now. So this has a 3150 milliamp hour battery. Now that's a very tiny battery and I was really worried about it when I first got the phone. Although I'm gonna use it as my secondary phone, I was worried about the people who are planning to use it as their primary phone. But to my pleasant surprise, it gave really great battery life. Like if you really want to stretch your battery life, I would definitely ask you to switch off the always on display. It eats up a lot of the battery because with the always on display, I was getting around 4.5 to 5 hours of screen on time. But with it off, I even got up to 6.5 hours of screen on time with my usual usage. That's a very pleasant surprise. I would say that the battery optimization has been done really well on this phone and I'm really happy about that. But coming to the charging, it's an 18 watt charger bundled in the box. It's a USB C to C connector as well. The good part is that since it's a smaller battery, it does not take as long to charge. So I got it charged around in 1 hour 15 minutes from dead to full, and I feel that's a decent enough experience because bigger batteries with higher wattages also come around that 1 hour mark. Coming to the performance, I was really not hoping for a lot, but I was pleasantly surprised. Now obviously I came from the OnePlus 8 Pro, which is probably one of the snappiest Android experience you can get today, but I would like to say that it is not bad. Like anybody who's coming from a phone of 20,000 rupees or so, or maybe 30,000 rupees a few years back, this is a significant upgrade. The 730G is very well capable for day-to-day tasks. I did not have any problems with that. All the apps loaded fine. Nothing was weird. I had only one issue where if you open the dialer app on the favorites page, it took kind of like 3 or 4 seconds to open up every time, only given if it is out of memory. So if it is not loaded into the RAM, it would take the 4 seconds I'm talking about. You can see it here. And that was something that bugged me, but I feel like that's about it. There were no other apps where I faced any loading time issues, or performance on the 730G has been top notch. I feel the app optimization as of now is also pretty good on the Pixel launcher. Now, coming to the RAM management, I did not face any huge issues. Obviously it's 6 GB of RAM, so you can't expect like 12 or 15 apps to be in memory like I expect from the 12 GB RAM on my 8 Pro. So that's why keeping the expectations realistic, I feel that if you have things like WhatsApp, Telegram, Instagram, few other apps like these running on the background, it should not be a problem. I did not face any problem, and even if things were out of memory, 730G was fast enough to reload it into the memory. So I feel overall for a day-to-day use, this is a decent enough phone and people should not have any problem. Now coming to the performance, I would obviously want to put this disclaimer out that I am talking about all this keeping gaming aside, because this is not a gaming centric phone. I would really ask gamers to look elsewhere with phones having Snapdragon 855 plus or 865. Now from the performance, let's get on with the camera. I would like to say that Pixel has a certain reputation in the whole industry in terms of its camera. The hardware is years old. It has optical image stabilization. Now there is a lot to talk about the camera and the camera features and the photo editing features which are exclusive to this Pixel phone. So I've decided to make a dedicated camera and video comparison review for this Pixel 4a. So if you aren't subscribed, you should definitely subscribe to watch that. If I have to give you a gist of it, this is a very reliable camera. It is sharp, details are retained, night sight is just great. Issues you might face or some anomalies is that when you shoot in normal mode and night sight, the color temperature changes for some reason. So that is something to keep in mind, but a few sliders in the Google Photos app will completely fix the picture. Exposure, contrast, the details, the sharpness are really top notch on this camera, and this is the best primary camera you can have on a 30,000 rupee phone in my opinion. So with that, we come to the most exciting part of this phone, that is the software. Whoever is deciding to buy this phone knows who they are. Like, they know that this phone is for them. If you really want to enjoy a clean and a good software experience with all the MIUI skins and the real MIUI and the color OSs out there, I feel this is really great. One more thing this made me realize and appreciate is that OnePlus still, in even Android 11, keeps so much of stock Android features from Google directly on their skins, and I'm really happy about that. So it made me appreciate Oxygen OS to a certain extent as well. This is an excellent phone for using the assistant. First of all, the animation is just beautiful. Like, it's different, non-obtrusive, and it looks really nice no matter what screen you're on. The next thing is that you can get into the deep settings and change stuff and just talk to the assistant to do things for you, and that is just beautiful. Being an extensive Google Assistant user, I really enjoyed using this phone, and everything was just so easy. Coming from there are a few specific features as well, like, you have a few safety features, you have a few features in the camera app, you have a few features in the Google Photos app, which is exclusive to Pixel, which you can't get anywhere. So the Photos app part I will cover in my camera review. The other thing I really appreciated about the software was the settings menu. Now, most Android OEMs get the settings menu horribly wrong in their skins, and that drives me nuts. Like, I can't tolerate the One UI settings menu. It is just a maze for you to get lost in, and even the search feature is very slow. The settings menu is so intuitive in this that you don't really have to break your head on which setting is where. You can find it out easily, and the sweet part is that most of the settings are accessible by the Google Assistant. So if you know what you're looking for, it will open or give you the toggle in the Google Assistant menu itself, and you don't even have to think about it that much. So there are a few neat software features where you can pull down the notification shade by swiping down from the fingerprint sensor, so you don't have to do that. Another thing is how, the moments where the haptic feedback comes. Now, about the haptic feedback, by the way, it is really good. This is probably the best haptic feedback I have experienced, maybe close to the Nord, but I would still give this a slight edge over the Nord, just because it has a few more haptic feedback. Like, if you hold down the back button, when you let it go, there is a second haptic feedback which comes in. Pulling down the notification shade always gives you the haptic feedback as well, even when you do it from the fingerprint sensor. Now, these are things I really appreciate, and using the software put together and how it is gelled with the hardware as well was a real delight to use. I do not recommend this for everyone. Now, understand that people who are trying to buy this phone know why they want this phone, and I believe this is the best phone for those people only. Now, comparing it with probably the competition, I would say the Nord is the closest competitor given specs and everything put together, and especially the price range. I would probably prefer suggesting the Nord to more people because it's more reliable. After sales service is something that will be better on the Nord compared to Google, where it's not really known. Other thing is that OnePlus hardware usually keeps up with the software updates pretty well and better than Google phones in the history, but we do not know how this will hold up, and it is to be seen. So if you aren't subscribed, stay subscribed, as I will be making videos on this Pixel 4a from time to time. But the Nord was kind of a confusing phone. The Nord was a no-nonsense phone and did everything well, but nothing exceptionally well. Whereas this Google Pixel 4a does a few things exceptionally well, like the software and the camera. So that is where I feel the choice comes in, and also about the after sales things I mentioned. So that's been it for the Google Pixel 4a review. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.